This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids. What up, everybody? This is your boy Black Magus, and let me adjust the mic a little bit. Sorry if you hear any movement noises with that. But so we're going to talk about the characters of Game of Thrones. I'm going to give my opinions on how I perceived them and how I thought they were portrayed and how their stories went. It's funny because I was going to try to do like maybe an individual person type of thing. And I will do that for Daenerys, as she is pretty much the only real predominant individual. But I think for me, Game of Thrones came down to being about two families in Daenerys Targaryen. It was about the Lannisters and it was about the Starks. So I'm going to start off with the Lannisters. Jaime Lannister, Tyrion Lannister, and Cersei Lannister to be specific. So pretty much from the onset of the episode, you knew that the Lannisters were a problem. Nobody liked them. Nobody cared for them. As soon as they showed up on the scene in Winterfell, it was like, yo, these like fucking cocky ass, smug motherfuckers, can't stand them. You know, all extra blonde and, you know, beautiful looking and all of that, with the exception of Tyrion. Tyrion was the outlier. And throughout the whole series, Tyrion was always the outlier. No matter what it came down to, he was the best of them. Just about every decision he made, he put thought. He had consideration for not just himself or his family, but mainly for everybody. And it's understandable, especially when you're an outcast, when you're considered the, you know, black sheep or worse, which was what he was. Straight up, you know, being a dwarf, his family, you know, looked at him as just like, you know, a problem. He was something that they didn't want. It didn't help that, you know, their mother's life was lost, I believe they said, with his birth. I think that's how his mom died, like having him. So it was just like added extra pressure of that on top of just being like, you know, quote unquote, not a normal person. Especially back in those days and times, they always treated people with, you know, if you think people with disabilities and differences were treated bad now, like, yo, that shit was so true back then, especially if you didn't have means. He was lucky enough to be the son of someone who had money. So, you know, yeah, people would snicker and talk about him behind his back, and again, his family would just like do that shit in his face. But he was still, quote unquote, better than the majority of society because of who he was, and that was just the attitude that the Lannisters had. Was, yo, we are the Lannisters. You know, people used to make jokes about them all the time about how, like, you know, Tywin, their father, shit gold and stuff like that, because, you know, they had wealth, they had power, you know, and they had the throne because of how they negotiated to marry with Robert Baratheon, because they put in a lot of financial backing into his war against the Targaryens. Yep. At the end, we all wanted to see pretty much at some point all of them dead. I think with me being the exception of Tyrion, I never really wanted to see Tyrion die. But you kind of wish the Lannisters would just go to fucking hell. In particular, Cersei. Jaime became a divisive character, and it's funny how he became such a divisive character as time went along. Even though at his end, he let you know, like, yo, I'm not as good as you probably think I am, y'all. I'm kind of a scumbag. And you probably shouldn't love me as much. Like, what he did to Brienne made sense. I know a lot of people were like, oh, fuck him. He shouldn't have did that. How you going to go back to Cersei? But one of the things about him is that that's probably why him and Tyrion got along the best was because, um, you know, as horrible as they were, they both understood how horrible they were and acknowledged that yes, I fuck up people or I've done something wrong or that my family's done something wrong. The split being Tyrion always tried to work to do the best for things, and Jaime just, I don't know. It's like he wouldn't let himself be redeemed at all. Like he he did fucked up shit, and he just continued to do fucked up shit because he just was like, yo, I'm just a fucked up person. I'm always going to be a fuck up. And he just accepted that he was just a fucked up person. And never truly went out of his way to try to like make amends. And it's funny, we all think that because of things he did, like knight Brienne, give her the sword. Like, he had the capacity to do good, but he never believed himself to be able to be good. And that's kind of a tragic thing about him, you know. It's just like he just accepted that I am this shitty person who's in this shitty relationship, who loves this shitty person, who will always love this shitty person because she understands me. She knows that, yo, I ain't shit either, just like she ain't, you know. And he just accepted all of that. He never gave himself that chance. Whereas Tyrion was like, yo, yeah, I may be a Lannister, but I'm not a Lannister, really. I'm not like these motherfuckers. I will never be like these motherfuckers because I just will never buy in. And maybe that's what it is. At some point, Jaime and Cersei bought into their lineage. And then when Jaime probably realized that he didn't really want to be that, it was too late, and he accepted that it was too late. Whereas Cersei, she was all about being a Lannister. You know, she'd have moments where you think, oh, maybe she will think and consider about something because, you know, she's a mom, she has kids, maybe she knows what it's like, the fear, blah, 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 blah. But no, especially as she started to lose kids, the more kids, with each kid that she lost, the more petty she got. Like, the more she was probably like, yo, the fuck I care. Because, you know, that can, you know, instead of taking in the situation, realize, yo, maybe I shouldn't have raised such a little shit like Joffrey. Maybe I shouldn't have treated Tomlin the way he was, you know, knowing that he's just like, just this kind-hearted kid who is just not trying to be like us. Maybe I should raise a Lannister who people would respect and actually admire and love. Maybe I should just let him be who he is. No, she wanted him to, like, you know, toughen up, be a fuck. She took her father's role of the family once her father died and was just like, yo, nah, you got to be like this because this is the way that we are and this is how we do things and this is our legacy. You know, she tried to force that on Tomlin, you know, the full circle type thing, like the way her father forced their nature upon, you know, them. She did it to Tomlin, and look what happened. Tomlin was like, fuck this, I'm out, once she killed his wife. Yeah. But yeah, Cersei always leaned into that bullshit, and it was, like, crazy. That's why I think we all liked Tyrion, because he had such a harsh opposite to play off of in the family dynamics that, you know, looking at him was like, yeah, you make sense. Now, we didn't like all the decisions you make. I know a lot of you hated the whole decision to pick Bran, but if you ever think about it, Tyrion was, you know, as Sansa said, you're not as smart as you think, but he was probably the most thoughtful out of everybody in the show. He always seemed to want to think things through and try to, like, not necessarily find the solution that was going to make everybody the happiest, but he was able to reason to a point where, like, this is probably the best way that we can do things, regardless of whether or not people are going to be happy or not. He, you know, his ability to compromise and adapt and understand was, like, better than just being the quote-unquote smartest person in the room, in my opinion. Because, you know, it showed that, hey, look, I am really not about personal gain, and I don't really care about power and all that like my family does. I just want to let see everybody get along, because having suffered at the hands of these people who are like dicks, like on a more personal level, not just like, being a citizen being affected by this. Yeah, I get it. I get why you hate my family. I get why you hate when nobles act like this, because yeah, that shit hurt the fuck out of me growing up. And like, I can't imagine like, you know, having to have these people rule you the way they like treat their family. You know, it's disgusting. And he understood like, yeah, we need to have a world where we can like build towards things. And that's why I appreciated his choice of brand, because he basically picked the safest person so that we could inch our way along into the idea of like what Sam was spitting about the democracy thing. So I appreciated that about Tyrion. I always appreciate that Tyrion just kept like, even when he made suggestions to Dany, it was just all about like, yo, maybe the best thing ain't always getting like dominance or control or anything. Maybe you should take stock of what you have and what like works best and go with that. And that's the thing, he never really was trying to like teach or tell people like just do what pleases you most. He was just like, find your spot, find what you're good at and do that, and we'll find what's probably going to be best for you and go with that. And that's how he treated the whole thing. That's why I didn't have a problem with him picking Bran like he did. Like, seriously, a lot of people like really had issues with that shit, and I didn't. Was it a perfect solution? No, but it was akin to real life, the best solution available and the best for all at the moment, while you build and lead into the like quote unquote perfect solution or whatever. Things take time, and that's why he made sure the preference was like, Bran will be here for a good while so we can work on things, and like do things right and like figure out what's the direction to take everything. Of course, I get it. Everybody wants immediate gratification. Nobody wants to like long-term shit. So that's why you get a lot of fussing about that. But the Lannisters definitely were interesting. Their endings, yeah, people aren't going to be satisfied, I'm sure, because Cersei didn't get like killed in a flourish. We didn't get Arya to murder her and something like that. She didn't bleed out on the floor or something like it. I thought her ending was fine. It was like, having just the satisfaction of seeing her realize like, everything you've done has led to your like demise. I mean, all you had to do was just not be a fucking dick. And now you're sitting in this like hallway crying, talking about you don't want to die. Too fucking bad, because you wouldn't listen to anybody. Being the Lannister that you are, you put yourself and all that you want above everything else, and that shit came back to bite you in the ass. That's why you lost all your children, because your personal ambition was bigger than like what people wanted. But I can't tell them nothing. Jamie just resigned himself to be the fool that he was, and he just never gave himself the opportunity to find out what life was like to be better. It's like, yeah, there are tons of reasons not to feel sorry for Jamie, but I have to say there's a small twinge of regret that this guy didn't even like buy into possible redemption for himself. He just was like, fuck it, I'll never be more than what I am going to be. And that's it. It's a shame, but hey, it is what it is. Anyway, as always, feel free to hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll hit you later. It's your boy Blak Megas, and I'm out. Deuces.